They don't exist to describe me accurately, to where people will understand. I am so big, powerful, whatever words you want to use. There are no words and there are no examples. I gave you a couple of really good examples, and even they fall short. I was floored, but I got it. I got what he was trying to say. So what do I do with that afterwards? Because I'm like, God, that totally kills what I just did. He's like, no, it doesn't. He said, I taught you something through a process. He said, somebody needs to hear that. Now, would have been really cool if he told me who it was, but he didn't. I don't know if it's somebody here. It may be somebody here. It could be somebody on the podcast. He didn't tell me that. I asked. Actually, I said, God, could you give me a hint? Nope. No hints. He said, somebody needs to walk the same path I took you on. I don't know who you are. You're welcome. You didn't have to go through a lot of the embarrassing stuff that I did. But I hope this makes sense to you. God gave me a plan that I couldn't possibly execute to teach me that he was so much bigger than that. That me or anyone else wasn't capable of describing him. Now, some of you are sitting there, maybe a few of you were like, well, it says that in the Bible, you dodo. It does, actually, and it's verses that I know. Isn't that amazing? I knew the verses, but God didn't let me remember them while he was teaching me this. I'm about to give you some verses that say exactly what he taught me. But he had to, for me, the process was how he taught me. Because he knows that is how I learn. That's one of the ways I'm a little hard-headed. I learn better certain ways. That's one way right there. So he blocked me remembering verses that I have actually gone over in my C group. Now, isn't that interesting? One of them's in Romans. We did a study in Romans in my C group. You would think I would have remembered that. But I didn't. So basically he said, oh yeah, here's some verses that you need to go over during your sermon. So, here we go. Job 42:2. Old Testament. I know that you can do all things. No plan of yours can be thwarted. Keyword all. I know that you can do all things. Now he's proving here with these verses that he is all powerful. He is truly big. But we still can't really describe it. Romans 11:33 through 36. I've gone over this verse. Romans is one of my favorite books in the Bible. I've read Romans a bunch of times. Should have remembered this, but I didn't. Oh, the depth of the riches of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable his judgments. They're unsearchable. And his paths beyond tracing out. Who has known the mind of the Lord? That was really not a question. That was one of those things that Paul said was like, nobody has known the mind of the Lord. Or has been his counselor. No one has ever been God's counselor. Because he's the counselor. He's all powerful. There's nothing that is beyond his ability. He doesn't need counsel. has ever given to God that God should repay him? No one. For from him and through him and to him are all things. To him be the glory forever. Amen. Not done. 1 Corinthians 13:12. Most people will know this. This is one of my what is so funny? This is one of my favorite verses about not understanding God. It's one of my favorite ones. I've used it in my C group many times. For now I see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I've been fully known. What does that say? It's saying while here on earth, I'm never going to know and understand. I'm never going to fully understand God. Ever. But when I see him face to face, then I'll fully understand. As long as I'm here on earth, that's telling you you'll never fully understand God. Because it's beyond our ability. We just don't have the ability to do it. How do you know that? Next verse. Isaiah 55:8. And this is exactly how God taught me this. I've laid this out exactly because I had the thoughts I just told you, and then God popped Isaiah 55:8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declared the Lord. What does that say? It's not humanly possible for you or me or John Piper or Andy Stanley or Francis Chan, anybody, to think like God, to reason like God. It's impossible. And I thought I could describe how big he was. What he taught me was, I can't. It's impossible. The goal here is for me to convince you that it's not possible. And that in that, God is even bigger than you ever imagined he could be. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I feel a little better. But I didn't think that was enough, to be honest. I started asking questions. So I was asking questions now. God, there's got to be more. There's got to be more. There's got to be something else you can give me. Another example, another verse. Actually, and there are more verses, but he said no. He said, that's it. I was hard-headed though. No, God, you sure? This is what you want me to say? That's it? That's all you want me to say? Give me something. There's got to be more. And he said no. That's all I got. That's all he gave me. On an afterthought, God created 70 billion trillion stars. Go there. They talk about detail of everything else leading up to the stars. And he made the stars also. Just 70 billion trillion. That we know of. There's more. Just tell you there's more. He created a human body that is so complicated that the smartest doctors that have ever lived don't understand it fully and can't even give estimates on some of the things that take place in the human body. With the most sophisticated equipment that the earth has ever known. They don't know. They say they don't know. Why is that? Because you can't understand God and what he does. So really, the question is not how big is God. Josh, you can come on up. That's not the question, actually. That's the sermon topic. That's the name of the sermon. But that's really not what the sermon's about. How do you apply this? That's one of the things as a pastor you always want to be able to give somebody. How do I apply this? The real question is, how big is your God? That hit home for me. That's one of the things this taught me. I'm a pastor of the church. I had a big view of God. I'm going to be honest. I had a very big view of God. It wasn't that big. I greatly underestimated my God. When you get up in the morning and you leave your house, or if you're a stay-at-home mom, you stay at home and you start your day, however you start your day tomorrow. Let's just use tomorrow, Monday, as an example. When you leave, how big is the God you take with you? I'm being serious. Do you have a little box that you stick in your pocket that you take with you, and that's God? God's in this little box in your pocket. Maybe the size of a cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone. Is God caught up in that box? If He is, I feel sorry for you. And one of the main points of this is hoping I can change your view of Him. My desire in this really didn't change. God taught me something, but I still want you to understand. Taking a small God out into the world today is dangerous. Do you believe that? I do. I believe that. And I'll tell you why I think it's dangerous, and I'll just give you one example. When things are going on in your life, if God is really small in your pocket, I'm going to use my keys because I didn't bring my cell phone. If this is the size God you have right here, when you pray to Him for things that are going on in your life, do you actually believe He can do it? If you got God in a box this size in your pocket, I'm going to tell you, you don't believe He can do it. Or that He even cares. Because your view of Him is this big. This big. Even if it's that big. Do you realize? Everybody's heard the term infinity, right? You know why they came up with the word infinity? It means that it's a number that can't be measured. They came up with it because they couldn't measure things like space, like the universe, like how many stars there are. They don't know. That word applies to God. In virtually every attribute of God, that word applies. Think about that for just a second. Forgiveness. It's one of the ones that I had up earlier. Do you know how many sins take place in the world in a day? We don't. There's 8 billion people in the world. Let's just say everybody sins one time. I mean, some people may not sin all day, some people may sin a lot. Let's just use 8 billion. If every person on earth asked for forgiveness for those sins, right now, God will forgive them, right? Do you know what happens to his forgiveness meter when he forgives 8 billion sins? Nothing. Nothing. It doesn't change. So, how big is your God? I hope that if you're a Christian, that what God had me present today changed your view. I really do. If you're not a Christian, I hope it changed your view too. I hope it made you desire to know more. I hope God went straight to your heart with this. That's all I got. Josh is going to play a song. If you need to come up here and pray, the altar's open. If you need to talk to me, I'll be down front. Let the Spirit lead you today. But just remember, if you came in here today and you're one of those people, you don't know Christ, and you're one of those people that has to understand, I think this message was for you. I really do. On this side of heaven, you're never going to fully understand Him. If you're waiting to get saved until you fully understand God, I'm worried for you. I'm scared to death for you. Don't. There are many, I just used 4 verses. There are many verses in this Bible that prove to you that you will never understand Him on this side. So don't let that hold you back. If you got questions, that's great. I still have questions. I've been a Christian 26 years, and I still have questions. Obviously, I just took you through a process where God taught me something, and I was totally missing it. I'm never going to get it all. You know what? Andy Stanley's not either. John Piper's not either. Francis Chan's not either. They're not going to understand it all. And they know that. And they would tell you the same thing. I'll be down front. If you got anything you need to take care of, the altar's open.
All right. Let's all stand. We're going to go through this song, Give Me Faith. Grab your children, come back in worship.